got 6 things I want to share with you today that I hope brighten your day. And basically, these are simple rules in life. I love sharing, positive things that will encourage and also give you a handle to be able to look at life. The first one is simply this: know that your only competition is who you were yesterday. That's right. Remember, every day is a brand new day, and it means improvement. It means enthusiasm. It means the mercies of God are new every morning, knowing that this is the day which the Lord hath made, and that each day is a wonderful opportunity to improve yourself, to be a better person, to be more competent, more resourceful, more kind. That's what you want to be day by day. And remember, you can't do anything about the past. And you really shouldn't worry about the present, or I should say the future. Be concerned about today. I've often used this illustration. There's an old song from way back in the late 60s. I think it was around 69. And it was from the Grassroots, which happens to be one of my favorite groups. It was Jimmy Duran who basically said, they don't need a gardener. Anyway, the song was simply this: to live for today. So let's live for today and let's enjoy this day because it may be the only one that we have. Also, as well, earn, save, invest before you spend. I have an old friend. His name was Al Shipkennick. And Al Shipkennick followed the 80-20-20 rule. And you say, okay, what was the 80-20-20 rule? Well, basically, he's spent 80% of what he had. He invested or saved, of course, 10%, and he gave 10% to the Lord. And he found that that was a wonderful way, of course, to live. And I think it is as well. When you invest and save in your future, whether it's RRSPs or just, putting away for a rainy day, it is a good way to live. And of course, if you follow nature, you know that that's the way it is. Every summer, for example, in our house, or around our house, we have a bunch of trees, big old, spruce trees. And every single summer, we see squirrels running around our backyard, picking up the pine cones, getting ready, of course, for the winter season, because there is always going to be a winter season. So make sure that, of course, you prepare for that. It was Dave Ramsey who basically says you got to have a rainy day fund just in case something happens. Well, when you are in that time of abundance, put it away. And then when the time of scarcity comes or when you retire, you have a little nest egg to live on. So that's a good rule. Also, as well, avoid negative people. Life is just too blinking short. I know that there are sandpaper people that come into our lives, but let's not let them have the priority. Let's also not allow, crisis and chaos to be the fashion fair of the day. You need to avoid those people and those situations as much as possible. I'm not saying that you won't have them, but don't make them the priority, okay? Because I guarantee if you allow a drama teacher or a drama person to be in your life, all you're going to have is drama. So remember, life is just too blinking short. Also, as well, if you don't go after what you want, you'll never get it. It's called being diligent. It is also being consistent. If you just say, well, I don't want to really, go after things, well, guess what? You're not going to get it. So the simple fact is, if you want something, go after it and make it happen. And it was John Maxwell who said this: it is our consistency every single day that provides us, of course, with the step forward. And I love how one person put it. If you want to go 1,000-mile journey, how does it start? By one step at a time. If you want to get up the staircase, you do it one step at a time. It was very simply that way. Also, as well, see failure as a beginning, not as an end. You see, failure will define you. If you give up and say, man, I'm never going to be able to get there, then you'll never accomplish anything. A perfect example is, of course, the Olympic athlete. Many of them fail over and over and over again. But does that keep them from continuing to try? No, they just pick themselves up and say, I can do better. There's a wonderful story of a young lady who was a, heavy lifter. She was one who was involved in, that type of Olympic activity. And so in her first Olympics, she did terrible, but she kept on trying. And the next Olympic, she got into the top 10. And then in the next Olympic, she got within the top 5. Then her next Olympic, guess what? She got the gold. Now, they asked her, you didn't do so well the first couple of Olympics. She said, that's right, but I kept training and I kept trying. And so she didn't look at failure as a beginning. She looked at it, and I should say, see failure as a beginning, not as an end. So basically, stay with it, baby. That's what we're saying. Stay with it. Don't give up. There's a little Facebook post that goes like this. Rule number 1, never give up. Rule number 2, remember rule number 1. It's a great way to live. If you don't want something, then don't go after it. But if you want something, well, you're going to have a few failures along the way. Also, as well, just remember, our habits actually decide our future. If you get involved with a negative habit, that negative habit is going to be an anchor in your life. But if you have good habits, I was just reading about Ben Franklin. Now, Ben Franklin, of course, was one of the fellows who actually charted and designed the American Constitution. And he had 13 rules of life. Now, I've used those 13 rules of life in one of my broadcasts. But his rules of life were literally what he guided his life was. When he was around 16 or 17 years old, he said, I want to put a blueprint for my life. So he laid out 13 things that he wanted to have as a daily habit. And it was John Maxwell, again, using him as an example. John Maxwell says, your daily habits will, of course, decide the direction of your future. The things that you do consistently every day, like, for example, having a positive mental attitude. Of course, also as well, letting the Lord guide your life. Understanding what we've just been talking about. These 5 things that we just talked about can become a daily habit. And it's important to put them into practice every day, because every one of us needs some boundaries. Every one of us needs a framework to work when it comes to our personal narrative. So what are they again? Well, know that you're the only competition that you have is yourself, and that you desire to be better today than you were yesterday. Also as well, earn, save, and invest before you spend. If you don't have it, don't spend it. Avoid negative people and negative situations if possible. And remember, life is just too blinking short. Also as well, if you don't go after what you want, you'll never get it. Also as well, you can see failure as a beginning, not the end. And remember, our habits actually decide our future. That's a little thought for you today. If you like what you've been hearing, of course, I always encourage you to press the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. My name is Robert Dean Steele.